What's up guys, Axis here, and today I'm going to be doing a little intro tutorial. This is going to be the first part, and in part 2 I'm going to be doing After Effects. So let's just see what we're going to be creating today. So as you can see, we've got a lot of camera movements, we've got the scene's quite complex. So today we're just going to be working on something a bit more complex that you can do in Cinema 4D. So obviously you're going to need to know kind of a basic understanding of Cinema 4D and After Effects. So you know, once you've got that kind of understanding, then you can get into this tutorial. So open up your Lightroom. I've got my Lightroom here, which is part of my motion pack that I'll have in the description. I'm just using the HDRI bright room, so we get all the reflections and stuff. So let's just get started. We're just going to kind of create a little base scene here. What I'm going to use first is a tube, and I'm going to move all these in a bit because the lights are a bit further back, or it might be fine, I'm not too sure. But we're just going to create the kind of outer base part. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the inner radius and increase the height, and then I'm going to click on fillet and put this to 1 so we get a lot more reflections. I'm going to switch the display to quick shading lines so we don't have any shading, so there's no kind of lighting issues here, so I can see all the segments and stuff. And then I'm going to also increase the rotation segments so that we get kind of a fully segmented object, because otherwise it looks a bit it doesn't look like a complete circle if you reduce it. See, if I reduce it, it's going to become really low poly, which won't look good. I mean, unless you're going for like kind of a hexagon or something like that, then you can do that. So I'm going to make the outer one a bit thicker than the inner one, obviously. And then I'm just going to duplicate this with Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. And I'm going to scale this down by using the scale tool, or you can use a shortcut which is T. And then we're just going to increase the height. And as you can see, we've got the kind of base object here. And I might just select both of these and then press T and increase the size. So now that we've got this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be creating like kind of a little mesh bit in the middle of this. So what we can do is we can create a cylinder, bring this up, click on the cylinder and go into object, and then click on highlight the height and then click 1. And then we're going to increase the radius until it intersects with the tube. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into caps and increase the cap segments. You can this is obviously just personal preference. I think these kind of segments will look good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into an atom array. If you hold Alt and then let go of this, it will put it automatically in it as a child of it. But if it's outside of it, just drag it in and you'll be good. Then we're going to change the sphere radius to 0.5, which will in turn also change the sphere radius, which is what we want. And if you want a smaller size than this, you can go ahead and change that down. Also, putting it on 1, I think if we put it on 0, it might get rid of that extra line, but I'm not sure. No, I think that extra line's just there. Alright, so that's not actually intersecting with it, so make sure that you've got the radius up until it's intersecting with the edge, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another cylinder, and I'm just going to scale the height down. And then this is just going to be a base object to fill in the bottom of this. So, you know, you've not got an endless like hole in this. And then I'm going to also bring down the atom array so we can put our logo inside here. And then we also need to still have space for what I'm going to put underneath this. So just keep that in mind when you're modeling the scene. And I'm going to kind of create the shutters that I had on the original intro, which you can do by just getting a tube, bring this up, and then we're just going to scale down the height till almost 1. Let's say I go 8, that should be fine. I'm going to scale this down until around about there. That should be fine. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bring the inner radius to 0. And then from here, what we can do is we can go ahead and click on slice, and we're going to slice this 90 to 180. And then what we're going to do is we're going to keep doing this all the way around. So I might animate this first. So let's just choose when this is actually going to happen. So I'm going to say this is going to happen around 3 seconds, so that'll be 90 frames, depending on how many frames per second you're using. If you're not happy with working with frames, what we can do is we can go into Control E, click on units, and from there we can go and click on seconds, which will change the unit of measure for the timeline. But I'm just going to be using frames, so I'm just going to keyframe the inner radius, and we're going to go, let's go 1 second ahead, so that'll be 120, and then we're just going to have this come to almost the end. See that it's not completely finished. You can obviously make this go all the way in, but I think it'll look better if we just have it going to that point. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just duplicate all these. So duplicate one with Control C, Control V, go into slice, and I'm just going to go to 90 so I can see better what I'm doing. And then we're going to go 270. I think 270, yeah. Duplicate it again, and then we're going to go to 360 on the 2 point, and then we're going to duplicate it once more and go 360. Wait, no, what we're going to do? Oops. And we're gonna go to there. I think that's it. Yeah, so 450 and 360. So just try and copy those. I think there might be a problem here. Yeah. Oh, I think I've screwed up one of the angles. Yeah, 270. There we go. Just make sure you don't do any typos, and it should be fine. And then as you can see, if we just go through this is all going to come out evenly. If you like this look, then you can stick with it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess about with these. I'm going to increase it, maybe increase one of them more. You want to make it kind of random. And then we're going to decrease this one slightly. So as you can see, we've got that random effect there. And if you think the edges are a bit sharp, what you can do is you can select all of them, go into Object, and then go to Fillet, put that onto 1 so we get a bit more reflections on the edges. And that's looking quite good so far. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create the propellers in the middle that you could see in the sample intro. So I'm just going to go and get the Bezier spline. What you do is you click on this so you see the top angle, so we get a perfect spline. I'm going to click on the edge first, so round about here, and then we're going to click into the center, and I'm going to hold and drag this slightly. If you don't like this look, you can just do a straight line, but I'm going to do a curve or an arc. And then we're going to put this inside a sweep, and then by using our Alt thingamajiggy, holding Alt and then letting go, then going into your spline, holding Shift, and then it will make put it inside the sweep. In fact, no, I'm not going to use a circle. I think I'm going to use an N side, or a 4 side. And then since you can't see this, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go into your coordinates and bring this up on the Y. And as you can see, that's not what we're wanting. So I'm just going to decrease these. And inside the 4 side, what you can do is you can either increase this or decrease it. Just see what you like. And then inside the sweep, what we can do is we can go into the scale. And then I'm just going to go into the details, which should be collapsed for you, but I've expanded them. Click Control here, Control click there, and then drag this down. And then as you can see, the spline is going to have a nice smooth transition. It might look a bit low poly. So what you can do is, I think it might be in this one, so you go into the spline, click Natural, and then increase the segments on natural. And then we're going to create the propeller effect by going into cloner and then dragging this into our cloner, and then we're going to set the object type or object mode to radial. As you can see, it's not really looking that good right now. What we can do is we can go into transform, go into the Y rotation transform and do 90, and then I'm going to bring down the radius to 0, and then I'm going to do 90 on the coordinates rotation on Y. So, you know, just go back and make sure you've done all that right, because now you should kind of have a propeller effect here. And what we can do is increase the segments or increase the count here. And you can also play around with some of the transform effects, because you can get some really cool effects from this. But I'm just going to leave it, and then I'm going to increase the size until it's almost touching the tube, and then I'm going to bring this down slightly, and we'll just get animating this so we don't have a lot to do at the end. What we can do here is we can go into our cloner, and it's going to be on the Z, so what we can do is control click the animation here on the Z rotation. On 0 frames, go to your last frame, which I've made 360, which in terms of seconds that will be 12. So just type in 12 here and drag it out. And I'm just going to rotate this, let's go 720. And then control click again, and then when we go back through this, you're going to see that this is going to rotate. So yeah, that's a fan. And now what we can do is we can add our logo. So, you know, just go and grab any logo. I'm going to be generic and get the phase logo. So what you do is you open up the AI, go into extrude, and then I'm going to go into the depth and type 60 on the infinite. We're going to go deeper in the depth. How about that? Go into caps, fillet cap on both. I'm going to put them to 1, so obviously we get some kind of more reflections of this. And since it's already centered for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside here and make sure this is centered by clicking L, which will enable axis. You can click this here if you want to, and make sure this is centered on the top and the front. Then you can click L again, and we're going to center this by going 0, 0, 0. And you can do this by clicking 0, tab 0, tab 0, and that will put that right into the center, and we can just copy paste this by doing copy, going into window, going to our HDRI room or whatever Lightroom you have, and then we're just going to scale this down or scale it up depending on what you need. And then I'm going to go into the coordinates, and I'm going to do minus 90 on the Y, which will make this fit in the center like that. So as you can see, we've got our logo. Make sure it isn't intersecting with the bottom mesh, otherwise you might get a bit of a weird look. You just want it to be kind of laying on it. So not intersecting, but laying on it, like so. Sorry. And then what we're going to do is, as you can see, it's going to come out like that. And what we can do is we can kind of do a little animation from 90. We're going to click on the Z rotation. I'm just going to drag this out to 1 second ahead, or 1 or so seconds ahead, and I'm going to rotate this slightly positively. So it's just going to be like that, and then we can have all our nice camera movements and stuff all around this. So from here I'm going to kind of add a bit of just, you know, stuff that's random. So let's go with something like a cogwheel, and then we go into object and we'll make this flat like that. Drag this down, and I'm just going to put this in an extrude NURBS. Since this is being rotated, it's going to extrude a bit weird, so I'm going to do 0 on that one, just follow this, and then on the Y we're going to extrude it like that. You can mess about with some of the parameters in here if you want to, making it more or less teeth, you know, but I'm just going to leave it stock. So that should be fine. Now we're just going to create some random other geometry around here. What we can do is we can add a plane, and we can just increase the size, and this can be our floor. So you can increase the size of this by using the scale tool or clicking T, and that should be fine. And I'm just going to add some random stuff like I said. So to do this, I'm just going to select all this, put it inside a solid or a group by clicking Alt G, and I'm just going to hide this for the time being so we can just create this without having any interference. So I'm just going to go and get a circle spline. I'm going to put this on its back with the XZ option on plane, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put this inside a loft by using our Alt and let go of the thingamajiggy, click. Let's see. So what a loft basically does is if I hold control and drag up, you're going to see that we're going to get an extrusion. So I'm just going to hold control and bring this up slightly. Click T. I'm going to scale this down by holding T and scaling down. Hold control and then dragging up. And I'm just going to do this a bunch of times, just create a random kind of shape. So, you know, there's no really proper way to do this. You just kind of hold control, do a bunch of random stuff. And then we're just going to end it off with kind of a tip point where I'm going to drag it down to 0 and then bring it up like that. So this is kind of like I'd probably say something like a jet engine or something like that. We can even add something like a tube around this if you wanted. You know, just do whatever you want. The options with lofts are basically endless. And if you wanted to make it a bit smoother on the transitions, what you can do is you can click on this and it'll make it hyperNURBS, which will make it completely segmented. This will increase your render time slightly though, so I'm just not going to do it because, you know, I kind of like the lower poly effect anyway. So, you know, I'm just kind of play around with this. I'm going to create this at the bottom. And then I'm just going to get a sphere, scale it down, and then I'm just going to put this inside a cloner, which will be on radial. And then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and we can just increase the count. And I'm just going to put this at the bottom. Right, so now that we've got that, what we can do is we can select all of this, put it inside a group with Alt G, go inside and click a cloner, radial, and we're just going to switch the position up again to 90 on the Y and minus 90 on the coordinates. And then we can switch this on, so we have our main object in the middle, and I'm just going to put these out and scale the individual ones down with T. So as you can see, we've got our basic scene here. We can add a bunch of stuff if you wanted. What you can do is you can even go into Mograph Effector and Random to randomize the placement of this. So we can go into Scale, Uniform Scale, and maybe Rotation. You might not want to make it that random, so you can decrease the strength. So you can have a bunch of different camera shots looking at different parts of this object and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just get onto the camera movements now. So let's just click on the camera icon up here, and then we'll click on this black box here, which will put it into the active camera. And then from here, what we can do is we're just going to choose a random angle. So I don't know, something like here. I think we're going to have 2 different angles. We have something like, I don't know, we could choose something like going around here perhaps, or we could have something that's just, you know, circling the centerpiece of this. I think I'm just going to go with 1 camera movement because it'll be easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, go to Cinema 4D tags and target, and then what we're going to do is we're going to target the logo. So if we just click here and then we click on the logo in the scene, or we can go inside our solid and choose it here. So I'm just going to do that. So now if we move about this scene with this tool, you'll be able to see that we can just move around the scene like that. So I think I'm going to start, maybe, let's go here. So if you click F9 at the start of your comp here, we're going to go to where the main animation starts, which is 3 seconds in or 90 frames in. And I'm going to go up here, going to keyframe it again. And then I'm just going to have, we should really have like a faster movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just delete this keyframe, go to the end, and we're going to have our full camera movement over this whole thing. And then maybe at 3 seconds, what we can have, if we can, is we can have it kind of zooming in over 1 second. So if we have it up here, like that, so it just comes up and then it zooms in really quickly, and then it kind of just trails off until the end. And what we can do is we can go into our coordinates and go into our Z and rotate it slightly. So I'm going to rotate it that way into the negative, and at the start I'm going to rotate it positively. So let's see how that looks. Maybe don't know, maybe having it rotating slightly more here. Well, it's just personal preference, and plus since your scene's going to be different, you're going to have a different camera movement. That start camera movement's a bit weird, but I think that'll be fine for the tutorial. But if you're doing it yourself, I really recommend just going through it and ironing out kind of problems and stuff like that. Also, I'm going to rotate this cogwheel that I have here, just on the Z. So I'm just going to go to the start, and then I'm going to go to the end. Oh, nope, I've rotated it a different way, so we're going to have to rotate it using the y-axis in this case, I think. Oh no, I was wrong again. It was the X. So yeah, just I'm gonna go. Let's go 720 on this. In fact, we might go into the negative, so it's spinning the other way than the propeller. So we just get kind of a bit of variation there. So I'm gonna set this to 0 at the start, and 720 or minus 720 at the end, which should be fine. And if you want, you could even rotate these. So I'll just do that, just to keep the scene moving. Just a small rotation though. Let's just see how that looks with no, yeah, the lights are too far away from the center. But we have quite good lighting on the logo. What I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna go out of the camera, which I'd recommend doing if you were going to go and, you know, reposition something. There we go, the lights are kind of in the scene now. If we move this in further, I might move this up a bit. There we go, we've kind of got a nice gradient of the lights coming in and fading out just at the end. So that's quite a good look, I think. So I'll just render it in the scene. There we go, that's nice. And as you can see, the fillet cap is catching the light, which is really nice. That's why I really recommend using that effect. So, you know, just do a few previews just to make sure your scene's looking okay. And then we're going to material this scene. Just texture, I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some materials from my material pack, which I also have in the description. But you know, you can make some reflective materials by just watching tutorials and stuff like that. But I just really like these ones, so I'm just going to use these to save time. So on the main logo, I'm just going to mess about, see what I can do, and see what things look good. So I'm just going to rename this just so you guys can see what I'm doing. And what you do is you change the projection to cubic, so you get all the materials on the face of the object. I think that looks quite nice on that one. I might change it later, but I think that looks good. I'm going to go for a darker one on the kind of objects around it. So I'm just going to put this on the what do you call it, null object. So that's going to basically material everything that color other than the ones that we've got the materials on. This is obviously going to start taking a bit more time to render. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and switch this to, oh wait, it's already on physical. Alright, I'll try standard, see if it makes it a bit faster, but if it doesn't, then, you know, I'll switch it back. Oh, yeah, that's not making it any quicker. So physical looks like it's going to be good. I'm just putting it on low sampling quality. I normally use low because it doesn't really make much of a difference unless you've got a really kind of high quality textured scene and you're really close to all the objects, which I'm not. Okay, so I've just rendered a scene quickly just to see what it looks like, and we need to texture these at the back. So I'm gonna go with, I think I'll go with these. If I don't think it looks good, then I'll obviously change it up. So we're just gonna drag this onto our cloner, cubic, and then I'm just gonna use render region just to see what this one looks like. I might even use that texture on the main one, just see how it looks, because I like that texture quite a lot. No, I like the other one. So yeah, I'm just going to stick with the other one on that one. And then I'm going to have the kind of aluminium texture at the back. We might also want to add some colour to this, so I'm just going to get like maybe a blue. And then I'm going to texture the mesh, I think, because that will be kind of a nice accent to texture. Let's just see how that looks. In fact, we should probably make it red because, you know, FaZe Clan red, all that. It's good stuff. And obviously you can recolor these textures quite easily. Even the metal ones you can make like a gold texture, which might be quite nice, red on gold. Or, yeah. So I think that's a really nice accent to do. If you're going to accent any colours in here, I'd recommend doing the kind of a really vibrant colour as the mesh, which looks really nice. Also, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to switch on object blur, or object glow, I mean. So we get the object glow that I've added to this, and also switch on ambient occlusion if you're, you know, if you're just starting making a Lightroom from scratch. Then ambient occlusion will basically add all the dark shadows that you need and make your scene look a bit more realistic. I might even add a few more lights to this. So, you know, just add some random ones like one here. Or you can recolor the lights in the scene I've already got if you want. I'm going to make a blue one. Put it on soft shadow. And then we're just going to render that. Not seeing it, but let's go volumetric. That should be good. There we go, we've got kind of a blue tint there. Right, so I've kind of got an idea of what that looks like. What we can do is we can just drag this one over and we can do a classic white light and dark scene. So I'm just going to get a kind of washed out orange effect over here, and we'll just render that really quickly, and I'll just skip to that again. Right, so as you can see, the scene is rendered and I think it looks really good, but I might tone down some of the lights because they're quite bright. But you know, you can add this, keep this in if you really want to. Also, I'm going to accent some things here. I'm going to go inside the outside cloners, and I'm going to drag the glow material onto these here. So we also get the red material on the spheres as well. So if I just render that section, you'll be able to see that that's looking really cool. So the idea with this kind of intro is that you're going to want to accent certain parts of it, but not make it overpowering. Like, don't accent like a big chunk of the intro. Just do small bits. And also, I might want to texture this part here, up here, just to make it different, you know, the part that opens up. And also you're going to want to make the light in the background kind of an infinity light. I mean, not the light, but the plane, because as you can see the plane stops. So I'm just going to grab another one of these materials, like this scratched one, and let's just go inside here, and I'm going to get all these, group them just so I can texture them all at the same time. Make sure you switch it to cubic as well. And I'm just going to highlight a bit of this and render it all. That's quite good. Let's see. In fact, no, I want to just render this part here. Come on. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that because it makes it different. It looks a lot better. So yeah, remember just to use a kind of wide variety of different materials and stuff. So as you can see, I've just increased the plane size, and we're just going to get into the renders now. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the output, and as you can see in my Lightroom, I've already set it up as kind of the standards render that I do. So I've got 1280 by 720. You can just copy all this. Resolution is 300 dpi, and then we've got 0 to 360, which is 12 seconds at 30 frames per second, which determines obviously what 360 is defined as. So in save, we've just got a TIFF sequence. I might go 16-bit, which will just increase the colors that you have here, and then I might put it on alpha channel so you can add stuff in the background. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to save this. So I'm just going to go. There we go. So I'm just going to do this. I'll make a subfolder, because since we're using a TIFF sequence, it's going to be a bunch of images. So it's going to be 360 images, which you don't want to just have in an open folder, which will be annoying. So I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to just put one here. You can use anything for the file size or the file name. And then compositing file size, or project file, sorry. I'm just going to check everything here, which is just going to save out the lights, the camera, all the scene data into one. And I'm going to select After Effects. If you're using Motion or any of these other ones, then you can obviously, but I'm using After Effects, so that's why I've selected it. And then what you do is you just click up here and it will start rendering it. So thanks for watching, guys, and make sure to check out part 2, which is going to be released at 150 likes. I know we can do it because we've done it lots of times before. So I'll see you guys in the next tutorial, and thanks for watching.